the original, the old American dream, right? You go to school, you get a job, right? The job takes care of you, right? You have all the benefits, and then you retire, and that dream is pretty much dead. I'm Gary Engels, CEO of MyGig, and this is Money Moves Only. This isn't a podcast about gimmicks, hacks, or overnight success. It's about making strategic moves that create freedom. Financial freedom, time freedom, and the freedom to build your future on your terms. Now, each week, we sit down with business leaders, entrepreneurs, and experts across industries to explore what's working in today's economy and how you can tap into it. Now, whether you're growing your own income, scaling a team, or just getting started, you're here because you want real, lasting results. At MyGig, we've built a platform that helps everyday professionals do just that. And this podcast is your inside track. Welcome to Money Moves Only. Now let's go build something that lasts. All right, welcome everybody. I have the privilege of sitting down today with Ben Dixon. He's in charge of putting together all the systems behind MyGig, right? And we're gonna have that discussion a little bit today. And I've got Alex Babiolakis. He's our VP of Sales here. And guys, welcome.
Thanks for having us on the show. This is going to be a ton of fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. This is the first of many, and we plan on having a discussion today. I want to kind of just dive into the gig economy a little bit today, and like what that is. What does that look like? Because I think that sometimes I think we hear gig economy, and some people might know what that is, and some people might not. And let's just kind of dive into that. Like 50% of Americans, the American workforce right now has a 1099, right? And that's what we kind of define as gig work, right? Meaning, they may have a job, but they may have a side gig, right? And that'd be a 1099, or maybe that is, their full-time income is a 1099, but we'll just kind of call it 1099 equals gig work, right?
Yep.
But man, Gen Xers, 72%,
it's
right?
Crazy.
And it is growing fast, right?
Yeah.
It's phenomenal. What's your experience with this? Do you have a side gig?
Do
you have a side gig? I mean, it's growing. I do.
I've actually been a 1099 worker most of my life. Yeah, I've had businesses I've owned, but I've actually had one W-2 role in my own life, and I'm almost 40. And so you think about even our generation and what that carries on to the next generation. I have companies I own, but then anytime I've done projects, I've always been 1099. And so I think about this culture that young people coming out of college are coming into. There's just businesses are just saying, okay, wait, I just want to pay for value, right? And so I think contract work is going to continue to expand and expand and expand in our world.
Yeah, I haven't had a job since I was 17.
Yeah.
It's been literally just either my own business, right, or 1099.
Or 1099 work in our world. And it's growing big time. It was exciting to even be invited into this MyGig world because, when most people who go into contract work, I think that that stuff that happens, they kind of pick one offer over here or one offer over here, right? And the stuff that they do. And what I thought was so unique when I was first approached with the guys who are doing MyGig, of building this platform and putting together this ecosystem, was this idea that somebody who wanted to do professional business opportunities and do professional work would have space to take courses and to learn, and they had multiple offers, right? Because not every offer is right for every single one person, and so they had real services for real businesses that people could learn and then deliver. And so it was an exciting proposition.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that come along with a job, right?
Sure.
The security and things like this. So when you're a W-2 employee, especially for a larger company, you might have health insurance, things like, cybersecurity and things like that are all kind of covered, right?
Sure.
That's kind of something that MyGig stepped in to help with and to develop was the idea of being able to have some of those other resources for a 1099 worker, somebody maybe that's working from home but doesn't have access to some of those big, corporate health insurance and, some of those benefits like that, right? And could we, kind of put together some ideas and some resources for those 1099 workers to help them, further along their career?
I mean, like similar to both of you, I've only been like involved in one W-2 situation.
Same here.
And I've always been like that 1099. And I think just like over the last like 5 years, the flexibility for people and the opportunities that are out there, it makes sense. But I think a lot of people lack education on like understanding, how to get health insurance for themselves, or what type of things that they automatically get in a W-2 job, where they kind of, I wouldn't say take for granted, but it's usually done for them.
Sure.
Right.
And I think the fear of the unknown coming into a 1099 situation is like, but what about all of these different things, like a benefit situation,
Sure.
or how do I get my health insurance? Where do I even go to get my health insurance? And I think providing that from not only an education standpoint, but actually a solution standpoint, I think changes the way and the perception that people will start to kind of look at 1099 work, and not just dip their toe in it. They can, really make it, their own, and say, okay, I can cover myself on my basic necessities for my family because I know where to go. I know how to do it now. And then from there, be flexible, diverse, and have different opportunities in I guess, gig work.
Yeah.
Well, I wish something like MyGig was around when I was younger. Like, one of the things I was thinking about even coming into the podcast today is, I think I rewind back to like 2006 and 2007. I was doing contract work as 1099, commission only, was out there. I was selling seminars at the time. And I was spending like 500 some bucks a month on, because I had a rule. If I was going to get a mortgage on a home, I wanted to have insurance so that I could cover if I died, so the debt didn't go anywhere. But I was spending like 500 bucks a month on just services that, because of how MyGig is structured, I could have had for under $100, which is really, really cool. Like, in a world where there's inflation and you can't even go to a restaurant for less than $30, like it's wild what's possible, just because of all the services and what's been put together. So I do think for those that are gig workers that are checking out the show, they definitely deserve to check it out, just because of all that can bring to the table for them and their families.
Yeah, for sure. One of the reasons that I stepped into the CEO role and I'm so proud of what we've built here with MyGig is because the American dream has changed.
Yeah.
You talk about, in the last, call it 50 years, right? How much that's really evolved. The original, the old American dream, right? You go to school, you get a job, right? The job takes care of you, right? You have all the benefits, and then you retire, and that dream is pretty much dead, right? That is just not. I don't know anybody that's really followed that all the way through to fruition, right? And especially in today's economy, and that's
our generation.
Yeah, right. And I think that people are seeing that. I know my own kids are really seeing that. That the college thing is not the same as it used to be. It doesn't really have the same value as it used to be. And I know I dropped out of college my first year. After my freshman year, I dropped out and started my first business. So when I was 19, and that was a fascinating experience. But I recognized it was like, what am I going to get out of this? And college is for some people in some careers. You absolutely need
for
it.
very specific
100%.
careers.
You absolutely need it for some careers. But for what I was trying to do, it was like I recognized I could go start my own business, and I could kind of go down this road and have freedom that I wouldn't have otherwise.
One of the things that I think is interesting about talking about college and gig work and how it's grown today, I think everyone's kind of waking up to the fact that nothing is actually secure in your life, that you are actually only being compensated for the value you create for others. Like, one of the things I teach to my kids, and I give back and teach time at a homeschool co-op for young kids that are learning about business, is this idea that you are a value-driven professional. There's a book by a guy named Donald Miller. I love book referrals on podcasts, so I'm just going to throw out, if you have young kids, get them into Donald Miller's Business Made Simple, a great book that says that, hey, you're going to be compensated in life as a value-driven professional. So if you want to go make $100,000, go help someone else make $1 million, and you'll get your $100,000, right? The value you create in the world, you usually earn a percentage of that. So not happy with what you're making, go make more money for other people, and you'll make more, right? Is kind of the base principle. I won't ruin your book, but you guys can check that out. But from what you're talking about with college, I actually have a younger brother. I grew up with 6 kids, and I have a younger brother who's a plastic surgeon. So 13 years of post-high school educations, fellowships, all the things you had to do to be a plastic surgeon. And I look at the money and the time and everything he put in like a business investment. And from my perspective, I say that was an investment. He invested that. Now we can make 7 figures a year as a surgeon, what he's doing. And I look at that, and I believe that the growth we're seeing in gig work and 1099 work is that everyone's waking up to like, hey, I'm only going to be compensated for the value I create anyway. So what are some of the vehicles I can attach my life to that I can make more value for others with this vehicle, right? Because you can choose how you spend your time. You can solve really small problems for people. You think about why fast food workers are paid minimum wage. Well, they're solving a smaller problem. They're making sure your food comes out hot and it's on time, and it's still a problem. They're solving it, but They're getting paid in proportion to the problem they're solving. And so the question for people who are checking out gig work in their life and looking at some of the platforms we've built and the things we've done is, hey, is this a vehicle where I could solve some bigger problems in my life? Because if you solve bigger problems, you get bigger income.
Yeah.
I built a program called Project-Based Leadership Training, and that was kind of the base premise of that, right? It was like, you can't learn leadership by reading about it in a book. You have to actually go do that thing, right? You got to immerse yourself in a leadership role over and over and over again. And so what we did is we taught the kids and the parents and the adults that were going through our program to go find a problem in your community and go solve it, right? And that was, at the end of the day, like that's the beginnings of all businesses, right? It's solving problems. You find a problem, don't complain about it. Don't go tell somebody about it, right? Figure out a solution to that problem and serve, right? And help, right?
Yeah.
And what's funny is people want to hear from you when you are a solution to their challenges. Like, that's not ever a bad phone call. It's never a bad message. And so a lot of times I think the learning that I encourage people to do is learn about some of the solutions that are out there, learn about some of the challenges that are facing the people that you are in your circle and the people you interact with. And you could, in the gig economy, get paid for loving people well by literally just solving problems in their world.
I think a lot of people just have this like misconception that like solving problems from like, coming in from like a W-2 or whatever is like sales. And like, oh, I don't want to be a sales guy, or I don't want to sell something. I don't want to sell something to someone. And I think when you change that mindset shift of, well, if I'm educated on something, a solution, and I go to a business and I understand their pain points and I actually have the education and the solution, I'm not technically selling them something. I'm resourceful. And same thing that you said is you're getting paid in proportion to the issues that you're fixing.
Make more, solve bigger problems.
Well, and Alex is touching on a really important point. I think that the word sales is very like not cool to the 20-year-olds today.
Because they think it's like a car salesman, right?
They
you're,
think of
you're,
that stuff.
you're trying to push something down someone's throat, but you're not.
And we need to read
Mad Men or something.
Yeah, and we have to think about sales equals service, right?
Yeah,
like being an expert in your space and creating value for others. If you think of sales as service, everybody's in sales.
Yeah.
Like everybody, no matter who you are. Like if you're a waitress at a restaurant, you're in sales. If you're a mortgage processor at a bank, you're in sales. Like you're selling people that I know enough about mortgages to help you get approved. Like whatever role you're in, you're selling the people around you that I am competent enough to execute on the value you've hired me to create. And so when you move it to service, I like that picture you're talking about, Alex, big time. Because when you move the definition of sales as just service and creating value for others, it gets past some of the filters of weirdness. Like it's never convincing or coercing people to buy from you. Like that works 0 times to convincing.
But
coerce.
that's what people think. It's
Yeah.
like I have to go into this and I have to have this pitch and I have to have this, like this is the outcome, and it's very rigid. And if I have this agenda and I just have to push it right and drive this product down someone's throat, but
never works.
That again, I think it's just misconception or
Yeah.
whatever that may look like.
And there are some products and services that were created just to make money, right? And that's the problem. That was the problem. That's why it's such a hard sell. That's why it's such a hard pitch, right? If you look at a lot of commercials out nowadays, right? And I won't get into some of the companies and the names, but some of the commercials that you see, right? The names that you see all the time on those commercials, those are generally speaking some of the worst products and the worst services that are out there because they need to sell you, they need to sell you over and over again why they're so good, right? The reality is that the good services, the ones that are real valuable, they don't need to spend the money on marketing because they have referrals, they have people that are sharing it all the time, and
but it's that's
organically.
experience, right? So like based on people buy off of experiences and feelings.
Yeah.
And that's because of the solution that I guess the void that they filled from that problem.
You and Gary are touching on something really special that one of my mentors taught me when I was younger, and it was the value pyramid. And I love this picture of the value pyramid because products that sell because of the product itself don't even need salespeople. So you think about like TikTok. When was the last time TikTok needed like an enterprise partner sales meeting? Like, hey, it's a rah-rah 6 a.m. meeting, guys. We're all going to go door to door and pitch people on why they should use TikTok. Like, no, TikTok's never done that. Like, the experience and the addiction and the dopamine of just flipping through TikTok has been enough for people to just share TikTok with others. They don't have salespeople to go door to door.
Facebook doesn't advertise.
Facebook doesn't advertise because the product, they're at the top of the pyramid. the product experience is so good to the consumer and the dopamine that you just share it. So you go under that one level, there's marketing, right? There's companies who grow on marketing. Well, marketing, they need a team. They need people to do this. And then there's companies below that, right? That's like Wish.com, where it's a sale, right? Like the worst level of the pyramid to be on is the level below that, where the only reason people buy from you is because it says regularly this, 90% off that. Like that business is at the lowest rung on the pyramid because the only reason people are buying from you is because it's 90% off, right? And the only time they buy from you is when you're having a sale, right? So what you want to look for in opportunities, gang, is where you can be compensated for stuff that's on higher rungs of the pyramid, right? And I think that's a really helpful look when people are exploring different offers inside of MyGig. They're like, you got to ask yourself, like, what are the offers from these tools and the training, everything I'm going through? What are the offers that if someone just knew this existed, they'd want to do it? Yeah.
But then also what's important to you, right?
Yeah.
So like, because everyone looks at like multiple different opportunities or multiple different solutions, but like, are you like what's important to you, and what type of relationships do you have in that specific niche? And those are the focus that you should, be focused on. I mean, if one of the offerings for IT solutions, you don't know anyone in IT that uses IT software, I mean, you're not gonna why incorporate that into your solutions or your problem solving? Like if it's from the FICA side, then that's a lot of restaurants focus on that.
And if I were to give some advice to somebody who's starting a gig, economy or gig work, you think about something like rideshare or something like this, like Uber, right? It's time for money, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's direct, right? It's like, that's all it is, right? There's no residual, there's no backup, there's no, you know what I mean? It's like you take somebody here, you get paid.
Yeah, Uber's actually worse than time for money. It's time plus your gas plus your car's wear and tear for money. Yeah, and tires and brake pads.
Right.
Yeah, it's worse than time for money.
But if I were to give some advice on, like, so what do I sell? Like, if I were to get to look into starting my own gig, right? What do I sell? And something like, they look at something like insurance. It's sticky, right?
Sure.
I mean, you buy insurance, you're not going to go change it out in a couple months or drop it or whatever, right? It's like you're sticking with it. Something like, some of our solutions like cybersecurity and our PEO and, some of these systems, the CRM systems and things like this that we have. The credit building software, right? These are sticky things that, like once you sign up,
everyone in
right?
America has credit, right?
Right.
Or supposed to have credit.
Yeah.
It might not be good, but they have it.
Or they have a desire to make it better. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
But like you said, now everyone uses technology. Everyone is using an email. Everyone has an email.
Yeah.
And those are the sticking points.
Yeah. But sticky solutions that you're not going to go, that client that signs up for that solution, they're not going to go and drop it or cancel after a few months.
Yeah.
Right. Because they need it. I mean, these are things that all businesses need. Any 1099 worker needs, right? I mean, these are actual human needs. Like,
and as people pick their offers, what you're saying, when we put this platform together on the system side, I know I get to do some of the system training as we talk through the podcast, is one of the things that we help you understand is that we ask you to commit to daily habits in our world. So one of the things I think is interesting about when you pick a gig is knowing what it actually takes to win in a gig is a really important thought. And so not only does MyGig have offerings that are sticky, that when people hear about them, they want them, but we're not gonna tell you, oh, you're just gonna be rich overnight. No, we're gonna shoot you straight of like, hey, it's gonna take daily actions from you to win. And for people who've downloaded the MyGig app and the way it was designed, everything was created was, it speaks the truth that it's like it's not just about your goals in your life. It's about committing the daily minimum actions in your life. That at a minimum, no matter what, I'm doing X each day. I mean, we got some really fit people on the call. You think about working out, right? Like Gary didn't get his body by not working out and not eating right.
It's consistency.
No, it was consistency over a long period of time of eating right and working out. And that's why, you're just ranked as high as you are with jiu-jitsu and all that stuff was daily action compounding on one another. And one of the things I really appreciate about MyGig's approach to the members is this idea that we're being clear about that. Like, you're not going to just have one conversation and win and your life is done with a customer. You're going to commit to daily actions. You're going to do all this work. Some are going to be like seeds the farmer plants where there's a big harvest. Some will be like seeds that never grow. But you're going to do the daily work. And as long as you stick to doing the daily work, hey, really good stuff can happen in your life. And I appreciate that about the way it was designed, because I know that if people follow that path, they're going to get a result.
If you were to ask any successful entrepreneur, right, what's the secret to success? They're not going to give you some, like big whatever. It's going to be what? Consistency. It's going to be discipline. It's gonna be
Showing up
patience.
anyway when you don't feel like
Doing
it.
the work.
Doing the work
But
every
I think,
day.
the same thing, I guess, from sport, everyone's
Yeah.
looking at like the end of the season, the big trophy, or in your case, standing there, getting your black belt. But that's not like the victory, because like the journey is journey is a victory, right? And it's the small incremental wins that compound to those big wins. Like, closing a deal doesn't just, hey, this is who I am and I'm going to close it. Like, there's groundwork to do. There's rapport building. There's trust that has to be earned. There's a solution to the problem, and then eventually after those hurdles, there's the reward. But those small wins are like hurdles. You can't get to the finish line without jumping over the first one and the second one. And I think that's where sometimes people have that misconception of, well, because I'm paying for this, or because I'm involved in this, I'm entitled to having success.
Yeah, it's a question of identity. A lot of times people talk about success and what it takes, and people will go to the technical knowledge. They say, show me what to do. Mm-hmm. And what you have to remember is that technical knowledge of what to do is a very small part of the recipe to success. Most of actually reaching success in your life is going to be your beliefs about others and your beliefs about yourselves. And one of the things I appreciate of the way, once I'll go back to how Gary designed some of the things inside of the MyGig app, is that there's a place in there where you're working on your mindset every day. For 10 minutes a day, you're feeding your mindset great content, so you can change the conversation about what you believe you're worth and what you believe about others and the value you can create for others. Because I would encourage you to understand that you get your identity right first, and then you go do those things. Those things don't define you later in your life, because you're that stuff can come and go in your world. So.
When somebody has the identity of I am a gig worker, right? I mean that is a thing, right? It's like I am. What does that mean? It means I am personally responsible for my results. That means nobody's going to come and save me. That means nobody's going to plan for my retirement for me. Nobody's going to get me health insurance. Nobody's going to take care of all these things for me and my family. I have to do it.
Yep. And but that's a good place to be in, I think. Because I think, and maybe just for someone like myself or you guys, because we're similar, when you put your own future into your own hands, or your own situation into your own hands, then like there's no excuses, right? Mm-hmm. He said, she said, they were going to give me this, they were supposed to do that, and then what ends up happening is like it's a finger pointing thing towards maybe end of your life, or end of your career, and then you're just unsatisfied. Mm-hmm. And I think when you give that responsibility to someone, and they accept it and take it on, I think that's the most powerful stage that you could be in, and I think that's the best place to be in, because you can't give yourself an out. In the end of the day, like when you wake up in the morning, when you go to sleep at night, the first person you see in the mirror is yourself. The last person you see in the mirror is yourself, and you have to wake up to the truth, and only you know the truth. I mean, you could lie to yourself as much as you want, but the actual truth.
The most important promises that you make, and you have to keep those to yourself. Yeah. Right. When you make a promise to yourself, you have to keep those to yourself. Other people have lied to us before, right? Other people have made promises to us, and then we start to lose trust, right?
Sure.
But when you lose trust in yourself and your ability to get results, that's a defeating thing. You have to keep those promises.
But it's just a little thing like to your spouse,
sure,
or your roommate or whatever. Did you do this today? Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
But you know you didn't, right?
Yeah.
And then you go to bed knowing you didn't, and it's the same thing. Did I do my 10 minutes of mental?
Well, that's where I invite people to be in community. So that's a big no to what you're just talking about. Like one of the things that changed my life is like a lot of people don't have the power on their own. You haven't built the groundwork for you to keep those commitments. So you need to put yourself in an uncomfortable situation to be in community with others and be accountable to others, so you can get there. Think about like losing weight. Why are apps like, whether we're talking about like Whoop or MyFitnessPal or Noom, why are they so successful? Well, they force you to commit the daily habits of drinking water, working out, and you're in community with other people that can see your stats each day, right? One of the things we did in MyGig, to your point, Alex, is like the other people in your team can see if you did what you said you were going to do each day, right, inside of the EE app. So that's a big deal, because now you're saying, I committed to do this every day. Did I do it or not? Black or white, no excuses. And when you hang around other people who live no excuse lives as well, it fixes that attitude in life, because you're like, okay, wait a minute.
Well, you don't want to be left behind, right?
Yeah, and
or you don't want to be
not,
the person that
they're not going to be my
stands-
friends for long if I'm making excuses for my own success, right? So you have to put yourself into a situation where you are accountable, so that you can be something you're not at today, right? Because if you already were those things, you'd already have those things, but you're not. So now if you want to go get to that next level, you go surround yourself with people already there. Yeah.
That's beautiful. You know, I have my kids are 11, 14, and 16 right now, and as they got older, I realized more and more that they kept me accountable because now they're not little kids anymore. Like they start asking those questions about work, and they want to know what's going.
Yeah.
Like I want to be able to tell them like, hey, I signed this deal today, or we did this today, or whatever, right? Because they're like, because I know that that's going to serve them also.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And that's a different level of accountability too. You talk about community, my family. Family is community.
And I love that. And Gary, I hope that someday you get to write a book about being a dad. You are literally one of the best dads.
Thank you very much.
Literally, like I'm always honored and challenged in my own life when I hang out with you. Of like, Gary's the most present father of like when we talk about being a present father on trend and social media. Like you model that in such a great way. And so, just want to say that's awesome.
Thank you.
And there is actual real stats. Just so everyone who's listening knows, behind what Gary said, there's actually stats about being a married man or married woman and having children. And what that means about your income is that for most people psychologically, that actually turns it on because you are now saying, I'm an adult now. I got to go produce, not just so that I can travel more, I can eat more sushi. Like I'm going to go produce income because of these children. And there's
your why.
And there's real data. Yeah, but there is real stuff, gang. In that, like that's not just for Gary, guys. That's for all of us to understand. So some of you who maybe you feel like you're floating or you haven't, you set plans but then you don't do it. You have to have a big enough reason to get through the discomfort of doing it. Gary just mentioned your why, right? That word's been used for a long time in direct selling or in other referral marketing spaces, and it's true. Simon Sinek's work. If you guys haven't seen the Golden Circle YouTube video that's viral, right? Simon, the Start With Why book, right? It's from that video, defining a reason big enough to get through the challenges so you can create something new is the whole starter point of all this. If you don't have a big reason to take action, you won't. So much of the stuff's subconscious.
And most people look at it like, okay, well, my reason would be money, but
It's not enough.
What do you do with
that?
the money?
Doesn't last very long.
Because it's like, okay, you let's say you hit that. Then there's the next level, and then there's always someone that is outdoing it,
always
and outdoing you. So it's like, it's just a slippery slope of like never being satisfied,
chasing the cars and all that kind of stuff.
I mean,
why needs to be bigger than money.
It's noise, right?
Yeah.
But like know, Gary is saying like family and stuff. But I also look at it like, and I was having this conversation with my wife the other day. Is like what type of parents do you want your kids to see every single day? Because they are 100% a product of your environment. Now, I'm not saying like some people don't want kids or whatever, but the environment is important. It's about those habits. Like, do they want to see parents that wake up in the morning and go to the gym and have these habits of like daily wins that, eventually have a trickle effect into whatever that may look like? Or do they want their parents to sit around on the couch all day eating junk, and then they're like, well, that's normal. But that's not, that's not normal. And then again, I'm not saying kids, but if you don't have kids, what environment and community are you in? Like, and that's what the application that we have at MyGig is intended to do, is the environment that you're in will drive you into habits. Because I think the habits are what create the domino.
Yeah.
So
you got to be in a community who's doing those things. Yeah. And a lot of people look around at their friends and are like, I don't have any of my friends who are in a gig doing anything in their life. And if you have a why that's bigger, like that's right where to start. And I think that that's a really great place to even go in the show of thinking about these gigs is like, how did we come to our whys in our life? Like that would be a really good thing to share. I know for me, my faith is I'm of Christian faith, so there's people of all faiths, right, in our community, of course. But so I live my life in response to Christ's love for me. Like that's my life, I believe. So I see it all as stewardship in my world. I'm either a good steward or not a good steward. There's no gray or black or white in my world, right?
Yeah.
So that's how like Ben Dixon lives life, and so a lot of my whys around like it's not money for myself. It's about like, okay, if I'm stewarding this value that I'm creating, what can I do to serve others, or what projects can be done because of it, right? Is where all these reasons come out in my life. And so family is a big part of that. Things at my church are a big part of that. Things in my community and different organizations are a big part of that. But it's all coming back to, well, I'm alive for a reason, and I'm stewarding this moment. So am I going to be a good steward or not? Is the question I'm asking each day.
And for me, my defining thing was the word leadership. I've built my whole career on it, right?
Yeah.
And the idea of just understanding that people are watching me and
Amen.
everything that I do, right? And so am I being a good leader or a bad leader? If I'm being lazy, I'm teaching other people how to be lazy. That's okay, right? If I'm working hard and achieving and doing things successful, I know that there's a trickle effect that all of a sudden that person's going to try to emulate that. That's leadership.
Yep.
And leadership is the most precious commodity on the planet. It's the most sought after skill on earth. Everybody's looking for real leaders in today's world.
It's attractive.
Right?
People like it. No, it is.
But leadership
100%.
isn't just rah-rah motivational stuff, right? Standing there and being motivational. It's I think there's a misconception too.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to be a leader and stand there, and then everyone's going to jump up and down because I said something that was kind of
good leaders and
motivational.
bad leaders.
Yeah. Like what you do is again the principles, and same thing that you do. They're all different forms of leadership and different ways you can come to that, but it's not just stand up and be motivational.
Yeah.
Well,
No.
yeah, it's the stuff you're doing when no one's watching.
Yeah, that's
Most of it is. Most of it's very
But that's
lonely.
everything in life that is good
Yeah.
comes from the habits that you create when no one's looking.
Yeah. But how did you come upon why for you, Alex? Like, I know we both got to share. What was it for you? Yeah.
I left home at 19 years old, and just decided that I was going to go down the athletic route. And I had parents that were like had moved different countries and immigrants and whatever. So I was like, yeah, like there's no fear in going in trying something else. Like, what's the worst that happens? You go back home. Like, who cares? And then you start to create this passion of, like, I guess athletes are wired a bit differently, where it's about little wins.
Alex is a professional soccer player, if anybody's wondering.
There you go.
Not anymore. I'm
He
old
doesn't
man
like
now.
to talk about that. But
It's all good.
Old man. And then you eventually
Brain's
start
best
to
right
have,
here.
Yeah, no, not anymore. now the knees are they need WD-40. But then you end up, you meet your spouse, you have kids, and then like life starts to kind of shift. I guess I was in a car accident in 2018. I was in an Uber, and the Uber driver was on his phone, and he drove into the back of a stopped car.
Oh, my.
So I herniated 5 discs in my back, and then I hit my head bounced off the back of the front seat. And I think sometimes, I wouldn't say life kind of gives you like that perspective of like things can change really quickly.
Yeah.
And it may not be like an accident, but something can happen.
It's not guaranteed.
And then you start to change like what you're grateful for every single day. And I think that's where like the penny drops. And it's, that's where like I think the why comes, because I don't think like why is just my kids. Something has to happen before that, your children come into your life and everything like that. And I think that when you're ungrateful for certain things, or you just take things for granted, things happen, and then some way, somehow, the universe kind of puts you back into shape. Whether
things will happen.
Yeah.
To everybody, things happen 100%. And it's not what happens. It's
Entropy.
what do you do next? Because there's a lot of people, things happen to them, and they use it as the victim card. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, woe is me. I'm this because of that. Well, other people will say, I'm this because of that.
Yeah,
But then the why,
totally different
the why
experience,
stems from that, right?
Yeah, right.
Like something that kind of reshapes you, and I think like the gratitude, and then the small little things that you appreciate every single day.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I could have been in a wheelchair for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I could have been, like actually the doctor that I went to said, if you weren't so fit from the core stability you had from playing sport, your spine would have shattered.
Oh my gosh.
And that you're not walking again. So it's like, okay, like things start to change a little bit. And then
God has a
now you're in a situation where like every little thing is a good thing. And even if it's not a good thing, it's a good thing because there's an answer in that negative situation. So I don't question things anymore, but the why changes. I think as you evolve, the why starts to change because certain things become more important to you as life kind of goes on. But again, like that's why I say the money stuff.
You know,
You make money, you lose money.
all of these things that happen, and I think we can kind of wrap this up here. You know, we've been going for a half hour or so. Is this is what led me to the idea of personal responsibility, right? And I think you guys would agree with this, right? Like these things that happen to us in our lives, right? They help us realize that, and that's not forever. Like that idea of becoming a professional soccer player and that career path, like everything that was like all set in place there at that time, right? You were like, this is my future, and then something changes it, right? And you realize, okay, that's no longer, so now it's 100% on me. It's my personal responsibility to, you know, take action and go get the results for myself, right? And that's what led you through this business journey that you've been on and have done such amazing things with that, you know, and working with tens of thousands of people. And, you know, I've watched your career. It's been amazing. But it's all because of that moment, right? Because of it kind of changed your perspective and realizing that this world is not going to just give me anything, right? That I have to go get it. I really believe that that's what defines the idea of a gig worker, is somebody who recognizes that. Somebody recognizes that I have to take personal responsibility for my results and my future, and my life and my family and everything here. I'm going to go get it. And that's what we do here. That's who we serve here, right? That's what this is all about. I think in
closing this, because I think this is a good place to kind of leave, is like, I always think like, and I wish I learned this playing sport, like the power of your mind. I didn't know the power of what your mind can actually do, like on the deeper side, and the visualization. And I think if anyone is ever questioning like what type of life do I want, I think it's such a cool exercise, and sometimes you kind of overlook it. Like to sit in bed one night and just close your eyes and just like visualize like what do you want? Build the perfect picture, because in your mind everything you can accept everything. Like everything is possible in your mind. So like I love to do it and just sit there and think like, what do I want and how do I want to get that? And then you wake up and you're just like, okay, so now I know what I want and what's important to me. Some of the stuff will be fun and material. That's just life. But then it's like, what am I leaving to the people that are important to me? Like, do I want to build this family? Do I want to do whatever I want to do? And then now you know what the end destination is. How do you get there? And then what type of vehicle are you going to use to get there? And I think that's where like the gig workers and people going into like the side hustles can really take advantage of it, because having the end in mind, you can kind of work backwards, and it starts with that, like close your eyes, kind of visualize like what does the next 10 years look like, or what do you want it to look like, and then you can go out there and make it happen.
Oh, that's amazing. I think this is a great place to wrap it up, guys. I appreciate you guys coming out here. I love the conversation. Let's continue this.
I mean, we could be here for like 4 hours.
Yeah, exactly. I know. And I'm going to cut it here. And guys, we'll see you in the next episode.
Oh, looking forward to it.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for tuning into the MyGig podcast. If you got value from today's conversation, make sure to follow, subscribe, and share this episode with someone who's ready to take control of their income. You want to learn more about joining the MyGig movement? Head to joinmygig.com to get started. We'll be back soon with more real conversations, real strategies, and real stories from the front lines of the new economy. Until then, keep showing up, keep leveling up, and keep helping others win.